At 23, Carlos Alcaraz has made the decision tennis had been waiting for. He will return at the US Open after 4 months away with a wrist injury. That choice confirms what fans suspected when training footage began replacing medical silence. Instead of selecting a quiet stage, the defending champion is heading straight toward best-of-5 tennis in New York, as if ordinary comebacks were never his style. Yet the announcement answers only the easiest question. This story is really about why Alcaraz accepted the risk, what convinced his team, and how one demanding fortnight can reshape his entire season. If you follow tennis beyond the scoreline, subscribe and stay with us. Then tell us, brave return or dangerous gamble. The confirmation arrived with a simple message. Here we go. Alcaraz used the famous phrase associated with football transfer journalist Fabrizio Romano to announce that his long wait was ending in New York. The delivery was playful, almost casual. The reality behind it was anything but casual. A 7-time major champion was committing himself to the hardest format in tennis after spending 4 months without an official match. Main draw play begins on August 30th. Alcaraz will arrive as the defending champion, but not as the same player who swept through Flushing Meadows 1 year earlier. That version of Alcaraz was match-hardened, confident, and physically prepared. This version has completed months of rehabilitation, practice sets, medical checks, and patient rebuilding. Those are valuable steps. None of them can perfectly reproduce the strain of an evening match inside Arthur Ashe Stadium. The decision therefore carries 2 truths at once. Alcaraz believes he is ready to compete. Nobody outside his team knows exactly how close he is to his peak. His announcement confirms participation, not invincibility. Tennis, rather rudely, does not award a protected ranking for courage. Everything started in Barcelona in April. Alcaraz entered his home ATP 500 event after reaching the Monte Carlo final, where Jannik Sinner defeated him with the world #1 ranking also at stake. The Spaniard then beat Otto Virtanen 6-4, 6-2 in his Barcelona opener. On paper, it looked routine. Inside the match, however, his right wrist began sending a very different score. Alcaraz later explained that the wrist gave way after a return late in the first set. The discomfort became worse as the match continued. He initially believed it was a familiar niggle caused by the demands of competition. Tests the following morning showed something more serious than he and his team expected. Before his next match against Tomas Machak, he withdrew. That moment changed the direction of his season. Alcaraz had started 2026 with 16 straight victories, completed the career Grand Slam at the Australian Open, won Doha, reached the Indian Wells semi-finals, and carried a 22-3 record into the injury break. His year was not drifting, it was accelerating. Then one wrist stopped the entire machine. Madrid disappeared first. The withdrawal hurt because it meant missing one of the most important home events on his calendar for a second consecutive year. Rome followed. Roland Garros followed after that. Each announcement removed another major target, another block of ranking points, and another chance to defend a title. Paris was especially painful. Alcaraz had been the 2-time defending champion and had produced one of the sport's greatest escapes there in 2025, saving 3 championship points against Sinner before winning the longest Roland Garros final ever played. In 2026, he could not even step onto court. Philippe Chatrier, a champion who had survived 5 hours and 29 minutes against his greatest rival, was beaten by the simple act of waiting for a tendon to heal. May brought another test of patience. Alcaraz announced that his recovery was progressing and that he felt better, but he still was not ready for Queen's Club or Wimbledon. That removed the entire grass swing. For a player with 2 Wimbledon trophies and 2 Queen's titles, missing grass was not a minor schedule adjustment. It was another section of his sporting identity placed on hold. By then, the public had learned to expect withdrawals. Every hopeful training clip created fresh optimism. Every silent week invited new concern. Dates passed without a firm return. The tour continued without him because professional tennis has the sympathy of a parking meter. Rankings moved, rivals collected points, and tournament draws closed whether Alcaraz was ready or not. His camp kept following the cautious path. That matched what Alcaraz had said in Barcelona. He needed to listen to his body and prevent the injury from damaging his future. The message was mature. It was also difficult for a 23-year-old champion built around speed, explosive acceleration, violent forehands, and the belief that almost every ball can still be reached. Then came Cincinnati. The Masters 1000 event was the logical place to test his wrist before New York. It offered hard court conditions, elite opposition, and best-of-3 matches. Alcaraz had also won the tournament in 2025 and was defending 1,000 ranking points. Instead, he withdrew on August 4th. That decision pushed concern to a new level. Skipping Cincinnati meant he would not receive the normal competitive rehearsal before the US Open. Practice can restore timing. Training sets can test movement. Medical work can rebuild strength. Yet none of those environments duplicate a scoreboard, a hostile returner, or the pressure of serving at breakpoint after 3 hours. A wrist does not experience stress as an abstract concept. It experiences every heavy forehand, late contact, stretched return, and emergency flick. But here is the detail buried beneath the comeback announcement. Alcaraz has not chosen a normal return. He has chosen to defend a Grand Slam title without first proving his wrist in official competition. That is the real gamble. The US Open is not simply another tournament on his calendar. It is where Alcaraz won his first major in 2022 and became the youngest world number 1 in ATP history. 3 years later, he defeated Sinner 6-2, 3-6, 6-1, 6-4 to reclaim the trophy and the top ranking. New York helped create his legend. Now it will inspect his recovery point by point. Last year's title run showed what a healthy Alcaraz can do on these courts. He was broken only 3 times across 7 matches. Sinner earned just 1 breakpoint opportunity in the final. Alcaraz doubled his rival's winner count, 42-21, and sealed the championship with his 11th ace. That was not survival tennis, it was control. Replicating that level after 4 months away is a different assignment. Match sharpness affects more than ball striking. It shapes decision-making under pressure, return reactions, footwork around the backhand corner, and confidence on second serve. Alcaraz's athletic gifts can hide small errors against weaker opposition. Deep in a major, elite players turn small errors into plane tickets. Another factor is the absence of ordinary match rhythm. Players learn through competition where their serve lands under tension, how quickly their legs recover, and which shots remain trustworthy at 4-4. Coaches can create pressure games in practice, but nobody can manufacture the possibility of elimination. That knowledge usually returns through rounds, not drills. Alcaraz must collect it while defending 2,000 ranking points. Each victory buys another lesson, yet every extra hour also increases the workload on the joint his team spent 4 months carefully protecting. The wrist itself matters throughout his game. His forehand produces pace through a chain beginning in the legs and rotating through the trunk, shoulder, arm, and racket. The wrist helps control the final link, especially when he changes direction or creates extreme spin. Returns place another demand on it because the contact can be sudden and compact. Defensive shots create awkward positions where perfect technique is a luxury. Nobody should diagnose his condition from a video or a slow-motion replay. His doctors, physiotherapists, and coaches possess the relevant medical information. The public does not. What can be judged is the competitive challenge. Best-of-5 tennis creates repeated loading over several hours, followed by recovery and another match roughly 2 days later. One good practice session cannot answer how the wrist responds after 15 sets in a week. That is why his training with Holger Rune mattered. Rune can supply pace, intensity, and the movement patterns of a leading tour player. Those sessions gave Alcaraz's team a better test than comfortable hitting with a practice partner who politely feeds balls into the strike zone. Still, Rune across a practice net is not a first-round opponent playing the match of his life under stadium lights. The team's approval matters because Alcaraz has spent the entire injury period refusing to rush. He withdrew from Madrid when playing at home would have been emotionally tempting. He surrendered title defenses in Rome, Paris, Queens, Wimbledon, and Cincinnati. That history makes the US Open decision more credible. It suggests the comeback is based on progress, not one impatient morning and a freshly packed racket bag. However, caution before a tournament does not erase risk during it. Alcaraz's natural style invites physical stress. He chases drop shots, slides on hard courts, attacks from defensive positions, and turns lost rallies into highlight reels. Asking him to play conservatively is like asking a drummer to protect his hands by avoiding the loud parts. His instincts are part of his greatness, and those instincts rarely arrive with a volume control. The opening rounds will therefore reveal more than the final score. Watch how freely he accelerates on the forehand. Notice whether he blocks returns instead of driving them. Study his willingness to attack second serves, stretch wide, and improvise when the ball jams his body. Most importantly, observe how his level changes after 2 hours. Early adrenaline can hide uncertainty. Fatigue usually introduces it to the camera. His draw will also matter. A favorable opening opponent can give him time to find timing and settle emotionally. A dangerous unseeded hitter can force immediate physical answers. Because Alcaraz has missed months of ranking opportunities, his position in the draw carries added importance. Although the exact bracket will determine the route, names are tempting. Matchups are what decide whether a comeback begins smoothly or becomes a 5-set examination on day 1. The ranking damage already exists. In April, Alcaraz was world number 2 with a 22-3 season record. He then missed events where he held thousands of points, including major title defenses. Sinner reclaimed number 1 by beating him in Monte Carlo and continued building momentum while Alcaraz recovered. Cincinnati removed another 1,000 points from the Spaniard's defense. New York now offers a chance to stop the slide, but defending champion points create pressure rather than free profit. If Alcaraz wins the title again, he keeps the full value of his 2025 championship and announces that the injury break did not remove him from the top of men's tennis. If he exits early, a large points loss follows. The precise ranking result will depend on other players, but the direction is simple. Every round carries mathematical weight alongside the physical test. The rivalry with Sinner adds another layer. Alcaraz beat the Italian in the 2025 US Open final, but Sinner answered at the ATP Finals and again in Monte Carlo. Their matches have become the tour's clearest measuring stick. Yet Sinner has faced his own right knee problem and withdrew from Cincinnati while focusing on New York. Tennis spent months preparing another grand collision, only for both stars to arrive with medical files attached. That creates an unusual US Open. Neither man needs an introduction, but both need proof. Alcaraz must show that his wrist can support his explosive game. Sinner must show that his knee can handle hard court movement and 5-set demands. A rematch remains possible only if both survive 6 rounds first. The draw does not reserve Sunday afternoon for famous rivalries, no matter how strongly television executives wish it did. Other contenders will see opportunity rather than sentiment. Alexander Zverev, Novak Djokovic, and every dangerous player in the field understand that reputation does not win return games. Opponents will test Alcaraz's backhand wing, body serve, forehand on the stretch, and patience in long exchanges. Nobody has to target an injury recklessly to make him uncomfortable. Normal elite tennis already asks brutal questions. The comeback now reaches its second and more revealing stage. The announcement won the headlines, but the first opponent will demand evidence. 3 important questions remain unanswered. First, what is the wrist's exact condition today? Alcaraz has confirmed that he is ready to return, but his team has not released a detailed public medical report describing the present state of the tendon. Privacy is normal. Certainty from outsiders is not. Second, how many high-intensity sets has he completed in training? Footage can show forehands, movement, and smiles. It cannot show the full workload across consecutive days or how the wrist reacted the following morning. Recovery data stays inside the team where it belongs. Third, will Alcaraz alter his style to manage the tournament? A more selective return position, shorter points, increased net approaches, or different practice schedule would reduce certain loads while creating other tactical demands. No public announcement has promised a redesigned game. His matches will provide the answer. History gives both encouragement and warning. Alcaraz has already won a major after entering with physical doubt. Before Roland Garros in 2024, a forearm issue limited his preparation and forced him to miss Rome. He still captured the title. That experience proves he can find form during a slam. It does not prove every injury follows the same script. Bodies reject sequels more often than Hollywood does. His greatest advantage is adaptability. Alcaraz can win with first-strike aggression, heavy defense, touch, serving, and sudden trips to the net. If one pattern feels uncomfortable, he has alternatives. His greatest challenge is restraint. Grand Slam champions are trained to keep pushing when ordinary players stop. During a comeback, that heroic instinct can become a very expensive personality trait. The schedule offers little room for hiding. Main draw singles begin August 30th, and the tournament runs through September 13th. Alcaraz must manage practice, treatment, media duties, sleep, and match recovery for 2 full weeks if he reaches the final. New York adds heat, humidity, noise, and late-night finishes. A player can feel excellent at noon and discover a completely different body after midnight. His first match will establish the baseline. A straight sets victory with free acceleration would calm concern, although it would not settle the entire issue. A long 5-set battle would provide evidence of endurance while also spending precious physical currency. A medical timeout, visible hesitation, or sudden drop in racket speed would reopen every question immediately. The second and third rounds often become the hidden danger in comeback tournaments. Initial adrenaline fades, soreness arrives, and opponents gain video from the previous match. Alcaraz's team will monitor more than results. They will study recovery time, swelling, pain response, serving volume, and how confidently he trains between rounds. The tournament is a competition, but for his camp it is also a sequence of medical and performance decisions. Withdrawal remains an option at every stage. That is not defeatism, it is professional reality. Alcaraz demonstrated throughout the spring and summer that he will leave important events when his body is not ready. If the wrist reacts badly, protecting the next several years matters more than protecting one title defense. A trophy can be contested again. A chronic problem can rewrite a career. Success also has more than one definition here. Winning the US Open would be extraordinary, but completing healthy matches, recovering well, and leaving New York ready for the rest of the season would also represent progress. The public counts trophies because trophies fit neatly into graphics. Teams measure whether the player can train tomorrow. For Alcaraz, the emotional meaning cannot be ignored. New York is where he became a major champion, reached #1, and later reclaimed both the trophy and the ranking against Sinner. Returning there after months of absence creates a powerful circle. It also creates pressure to reproduce memories that were built by a healthier version of his body. That is why this decision matters beyond one entry list. Alcaraz is choosing competition over continued waiting. He is trusting months of cautious work against the most demanding test available. The move can restore his season, stabilize his ranking, and restart the rivalry that drives men's tennis. It can also expose how much match fitness rehabilitation cannot manufacture. No sensible analysis should declare the decision correct or reckless before he plays. The evidence is incomplete. His team has earned trust through months of restraint, while the tournament's physical demands deserve equal respect. Both statements can be true. Sports debates occasionally survive without forcing one person to wear a villain costume. What happens next is concrete. The draw will reveal his first opponent and possible route. Practice sessions in New York will show how aggressively he strikes the ball. His opening match will test timing, movement, and the wrist under real pressure. Every recovery day will then decide whether the comeback continues. If the wrist holds, Alcaraz can turn 4 lost months into one of the strongest returns of his career. If pain returns, the season changes again, and future scheduling becomes the priority. Between those outcomes sits the reality of Grand Slam tennis. 7 matches, best of 5 sets, and no guarantee that yesterday's body reports for duty tomorrow. The announcement ended the rumor. The US Open will deliver the answer. Carlos Alcaraz is back in the draw, back on the hard courts, and back where his rise first became history. Whether he is back at championship level is the only question that matters now. Drop brave in the comments if you support his return, or risk if you believe he should have waited. If the real stories behind tennis matter to you, subscribe. We cover the injuries, decisions, rivalries, and consequences without skipping the difficult details.